5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bella Talks TV. This is Amanda Bella, and I'm coming live reporting from the jungle. I'm back in New York, and I think I'm the only person who did not want to leave BRAVOCON. I think I was the last person who left the convention grounds on Sunday. I shut it down. I was just hanging out outside after security had cleared the property, and I was just standing out there underneath the high roller. And coming back to New York is rough, guys. Like, I don't know, everybody comes from all different places when they come to BRAVOCON, but it was so quiet and peaceful to me, like in my room. And even just right now, like I waited at least a good 10 minutes before I started recording because there were so many sirens, and I'm pretty sure there must be like the house next door burning down because the sirens and everything would not end for so long. Finally, I'm just like, I'm starting because it's already right now like almost 2:00 on Friday. I cannot believe BRAVOCON started 1 week ago, but we made it 1 week out, and I have so much to talk about. I've been, of course, listening to everybody else's recaps, and I know how you guys are probably feeling, maybe a little BRAVOCON burnt out by the end of the week. Been listening to everybody's recaps, watching all of the Watch What Happens Live all week. And if you didn't make it to the actual convention, I'm sure you've just been chronically online all weekend catching up with everybody. So I'm going to do my best to, yes, sum up BRAVOCON in the eyes of everybody else as far as the most talked about moments. But I also want to do kind of a special episode where I count down just my 5 personal favorite things about BRAVOCON. Because everybody's experiences are so different. And I think that's really important to give an authentic view because, yes, we already know the most talked about moments. We already know about Bryn's Louboutins in the escalator. We already know about Captain Jason potentially hooking up with several eligible cougars that were there this weekend, trying to get on that. So it's like we kind of already know the major points, but we'll review a little bit and we will just get a better idea of BRAVOCON through my personal perspective, which I still think I had like one of the most crazy, unique experiences out there. So I hope that you guys will agree. And thanks for joining me here for another episode. So let's get into it. So my plan really is to just give you a chronological order of what I experienced over the weekend, who I ran into, who I met. And I think it will automatically kind of coincide with the most talked about moments that were happening there. So hopefully we'll hit some of the major stories that you guys have heard about online. And hopefully it will also give you some moments that were a little bit more unique and kind of maybe not so talked about, and give you a little bit of the off the beaten path part of BRAVOCON that I experienced. So I kind of made a little bit of a list here just to sum up. And I really hope I don't forget anybody because I'm already so nervous. Like, I'm listening to other people's podcasts that met me, and I'm like, are they going to say that they met me? Which is so funny because you want to know that it meant as much to them as it did to you. I think that's like a natural. It's almost like going there as a content creator, for lack of a better word. I sometimes even just use artists. Like, I work with different mediums here. I'm a Bravo artiste. But just interacting with some of the other people, like, to me, that was the biggest takeaway of this weekend. I was more excited to meet other, pages, podcasters, artists that were out there that I almost forgot that there were Bravolebrities there. Like, those were my Bravolebs. So I think that I have some, just interesting stories too about, I can't believe I'm so glad. One of the things that I've taken away from listening to everybody else's podcasts is that everybody agrees that everyone was so nice. Truly, people were there to connect and collaborate and support each other. And I personally didn't really have any bad experiences. I have some people that like I didn't die over. I had some people that I met that I was like, okay, like, But I really didn't have any like rude experiences, not at least to my face. So I think that's important also. Everybody at least was very nice and fake. Maybe that's a little more like West Coast and I'm used to like the New York vibes. where people don't like you. They really just don't sit with you, but that's okay. I think everybody was really nice. So let's start with my number 5 favorite thing about BravoCon, because this week I'm definitely going to just skip to like the LOL and the OMG moment of the week. I just feel like we've already heard a majority of these things in these stories already. So I think by me just like naturally talking about my weekend and the things that I saw and heard, that some of these stories will come up. So for me personally, the number 5 thing that I love about BravoCon is to actually go to the panels. So you actually think that this would be the number 1 thing. Like, we are going to a convention, and traditionally a convention, there are certain elements there. There's typically panels or like thought-provoking discussions and things going on, like educational panels where you can hear speakers or you can learn about new things going on depending on the theme of the convention that you're at. And then there's typically also an area that's kind of a dining hall / area where you can go around and get free swag, or, things are being sold at booths, representatives, different sales reps and stuff. So there's these traditional parts of a convention that BravoCon does have that I really, really love, because it makes you feel like you're on a business trip. Like, the entire time I was there, I'm like, I'm here for business. I'm a businesswoman. I have things to learn and say. And it's hilarious because it's really not that serious, but you really walk around there, and I feel like if I'm going to miss a certain panel, that I'm going to like learn the secret of life. Like, something is going to be revealed at a panel that's so important to me. I'm standing in line, I'm running, I'm making sure I don't miss it. Also reminds me a lot of being at a music festival where there's several different stages and different artists going on at the same time, and you're trying to like catch so-and-so at the north stage, but I have to like run over to the other stage, but I want to stop and get a drink on the way. And you're finding time to see and do it all while you're there. And that is one of the best parts about BravoCon. So the panels in general that I attended when I arrived on Friday, the first thing that I did when I walked in was I interacted with a lot of the people that worked there, because everybody was so nice and helpful. Walking in, there were people with signs, dancing, and like good music out in the entrance area. Security was so like easy and nice, which is always great and appreciated. Just really, really good vibes there. So when I walk up on Friday, and I'm checking out the schedule, seeing what's going on, I got there like not right when doors opened, because unfortunately, and I think a lot of people will agree, it was a little bit of a hot mess to get there. So, and I even came in as a Vegas veteran, like knowing where everything is. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where Caesar's Forum is. It's right underneath the high roller. All you have to do is walk through the Link Promenade and you'll be there. So I was even telling people when I was arriving, I actually sat next to a girl who worked for NBC Universal ad marketing and sales. She was so awesome. She was so, so nice. And it was her first time going to Vegas. So we had a great conversation and hung out on the plane right there. And she really got me pumped up. Another really cool thing that she told me and showed me was that she didn't know any of the housewives or really any of the Bravolebrities. She was just an NBC person that works there, and was coming because she's involved with the production. And she was like, oh my gosh, how in Devil Wears Prada they have like a talent lookbook, and it has people's names with like fun facts next to them. She was given a book with all of the Bravo talent with like their headshots and fun facts about them, and we sat and looked through it, and I kind of gave her some like key people to point out, and that was a really cool interaction and a perfect way to start BravoCon. It was 7 a.m. We're getting on the plane, and like, who else would you want to sit next to besides somebody else who's got like the inside dirt and the inside track on BravoCon? So speaking of which, though, speaking of my 7 a.m. flight from JFK to Las Vegas, I wasn't running late, but whenever I travel alone without my fiance or my dog, I do actually like to be like a little bit lazier than I usually am. Like, usually my fiance wants to be the third person on the plane, like, and sit the whole time during boarding and whatever. I personally would rather just like walk around, grab a coffee, and like hang out, like board. And as soon as I sit down on the plane, we take off. But that's okay, to each your own. So this time I got on the plane like a little bit later, like towards the end of boarding. And I also didn't have like a great seat. I mean, it was a BRAVOCON flight from JFK out there. It was packed. So I didn't have a great seat. Like I was back, towards the back. So I'm waiting to board and I'm getting on the flight. And again, like I said, it's probably like 6:45. So I've already been up since 3:30 going to the airport and everything. And I'm standing on the plane. And as I'm walking back, I see Carl. And I'm like, no way is Carl on my flight. Well, my heart is like beating because, you're waiting to walk down the runway basically of the plane. And as I'm walking like one row closer and closer to him, I mean, he's so tall. Like I saw him the second I got onto the plane and I turned and looked down the aisle. So I'm like, am I going to say something to him? Like, what should I do? Well, as it was taking a while, people, of course, please don't get me started on just the annoyances of boarding and how long people take to, yep, there's your seat. They're all assigned. Find it and sit down and put your bag away. I don't know why it takes so long, but it does. And so I knew I was going to be standing next to him for a second as I was waiting to get to my seat. So I already started thinking, okay, Amanda, like really, how do you feel? What is your actual feelings about this? Now, this is very controversial. I'm not here to start any fights today, but I'm not team Carl or Lindsay. And I've been thinking a lot about this too after BravoCon about just this pressure to always pick sides. I am typically neutral, can see both sides, but I'm not a Lindsay fan. I would just be being fake if I was like out here team Lindsay in the way that I team Ariana, because I really was actually on team Ariana. So I already felt a little bit neutral about the situation anyway. So I decided to kind of, as I approached him, just say hello to him and let him know that it's okay, because he shouldn't really feel scared. And I just really kind of, I guess I'm empathetic. I'm an empath, which is, I know I hate when people say that, but I was feeling very empathetic for him. So I walk up to him, I give him like a little shoulder bump, and I'm like, hey, Carl, like, hold your head up high this weekend. Walk in there. Like, if you stand behind the decisions that you made, then there's no reason for you to feel uncomfortable if you did what's best for you. And he immediately just was so sweet. He lights up. He's like, what is your name? I'm like, it's Amanda, blah, blah, blah. He's like, thank you, Amanda. Like, you have no idea how bad I needed to hear that. He was like, I'm so nervous. Like, are people going to, Sandoval me, basically? And I was like, no, dude, like, people get it. This is a different situation. Like, you didn't cheat, first of all. Yes, what you did maybe wasn't great at the end of the day, but you didn't cheat and you broke it off the way you should have. And yeah, it wasn't timing, but you shouldn't have went through with it. So he was so, so nice. Of course, then the line starts moving and he's like, enjoy your BravoCon. I was like, me too. As soon as we walk off the plane, when we deboarded and we're walking to baggage claim, there were like a million girls running up to him getting pictures. He kind of like looked back and, was like, oh my God. Like, he knew right away. He's fine. He's going to be fine. Who else was on my flight was Dorinda. Dorinda and Jen Fessler were both also on my flight, but I was so distracted, like talking to Carl, that I was like, oh, Dorinda, no big deal. I actually, in retrospect, should have put way more effort into talking to Dorinda, but she is, I don't know, maybe wouldn't have been so friendly. So that was just the flight. That was just the flight in. I'm already coming in so hot after that, like amped up. I get in, I arrive. I'm staying at the Venetian, which I had timed from there to Caesars, was really supposed to be like a 6 to 9 minute walk. I'm like, oh, okay, perfect. Unfortunately, there were literally no signs, and I went through the link promenade as I had planned because I Google mapped it before. But when you're walking back that way, there was no sign. They should have people like working more from the festival out like on the street and directing everybody where to go, because it did get very confusing. I ended up getting lost walking like around the whole block. By the time I finally got there, I was like 3 minutes late for the first panel. So I walked in and there's a live stage. So I remembered this from last BravoCon too in New York, that there's a live stage that basically 24/7. I mean, this convention is only from 11 to 4:30, but the live stage is going on the whole time. There's different people there, from Jenny Poulos to Mercedes from Shaw's to Prima Donald, all there hosting different people and Bravolebs out on the live stage all weekend. And so I stumbled up there. So the first like housewives I I really walked in and saw, well, the very first person I saw was Meredith, which I'm like, okay, I don't know what kind of sign this is. But right when I walked into the entrance, I peeked my head even though I was late for the panels, I wanted just to see like who was in there. And Meredith was in there just walking around taking pictures. So she was the very first Bravoleb that I saw not on the flight when I actually walked into the convention. And then I walked over to the Bravoverse stage, and Kyle, Lisa Hochstein, Lisa Milan, Sonia, Madison LaCroix, Wendy Asefo, Uba were all sitting there. It was Lisa Barlow, not Lisa Hochstein, Lisa Barlow. And they were all sitting there at the first stage. So I walked up, I listened to a little bit of that. I was actually really excited to see Jenny Poulos too. I mean, Jeff Lewis was also around this weekend. So I wonder if they ran into each other or saw each other at all. Very interesting. But that was a great way to kick it off. I was so excited to see a bunch of those ladies. And that was the Wendy's. It was also sponsored by Wendy's. So anytime you went to that stage, they were giving out Frosties or Palomas that had Vita Tequila in them. And there was like almost like a bleacher setup. Oh, this is also where the escalators were. So everybody's like, what the hell is up with those escalators? It wasn't that weird, you guys. Like, some people were really talking shit about like the layout and the quality of BravoCon. Like, to me, the escalators and that whole live stage was really cool. So just shows you how like one man's trash is another man's treasure, because, I won't call out any other podcasters, but some people like really hated that stage and thought that was janky, and thought that was so cool. The celebs would come down the escalators to come down to the stage, and they would sit and answer questions and play games. Like, I loved that area of the convention. So after I hung out there for a little bit, I walked over to the Serving Up Vanderpump Rules. So that was really the first panel I sat at. I got there early. I only had GA all weekend. Hey, I was just lucky to be there. I was lucky just to have a ticket. VIP was significantly higher. I will definitely have it next year, because we'll get to it later. But pretty much now, like last year, it wasn't like that, where you would see way more Bravolebs and stuff walking around the convention floors last year on their way to panels and on their way to the Bravo Bazaar and stuff last year. This year it was way more separate, and there was basically nobody just like walking around unless you had the VIP section. So hot tip for next year, if you really care about meeting the Bravolebs and getting pictures with them, you have got to have the VIP wristband. I personally didn't care about that. I don't think I actually stood for one photo op and took a picture with anybody. I don't know. Again, like everybody's experience is so different and unique to like what they enjoy. I really, really preferred the panels versus meeting a Bravoleb. Like, I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. Like, you wait in line for a while and then you just walk up there. You get to say hello to them and meet them and take a picture. But like, I mean, how far? That's okay. I don't know. Some people, the picture's everything to them. So not for me. They don't care about me. I care way more about getting the picture with them. I don't know. It's a very weird thing. Celebrity culture, Bravolebrity culture, and what you spend your time doing there. So anyways, after the Vanderpump Rules panel, first of all, which gave nothing, a lot of people are also complaining about the quality of the panels this year because the moderators were so tight-lipped and the Bravolebs were so, I think, like maybe threatened or just in general, like a little more shy to be sharing details, getting into any drama on stage. They were a little just lackluster as far as intercast interactions on stage. Now, the panels all got very juicy whenever the questions were asked from the audience. Now, another very controversial part of BravoCon has been whether or not the questions from the audience, should be shady. If there should be some kind of a rule about what they're allowed to ask, or if the Bravolebrity can pass the question if they don't want to. I mean, some people really have balls. Well, I hate saying that. Some people really just have a gusto to walk up to that mic and boldface ask Jen Aydin if she can be any further up Teresa's ass, or ask Tom Sandoval if he will just go away, or like why he hasn't just disappeared yet. I mean, I do believe in karma. Like if you put negative energy out there, you're probably going to get negative energy back. But I also agree that like you're the professional, they're kind of like the adult in the situation. So fighting fire with fire isn't great. Sandoval took it like a champ. He got booed, whatever. That's kind of the route I would have personally taken. Now some of the other celebrities took the bait. So Gabby from Philly, who was the one who asked Jen Aydin. I was at the Real Housewives of New Jersey panel. I was actually sitting not far away from Gabby when she asked that question. And I saw that go down in real time, and like the booing and like the fighting. You know that scene in Mean Girls where she's like, "Mom, I need you to come pick me up." Like that was me. I was really texting my fiance to come pick me up because he was already on his way to get me because it was the last panel of the weekend on Sunday night. And he was already coming to get me and asking like, hey, I'm going to be like, where do I pick you up? Where's the passenger area? And I'm giving him instructions. And as that was happening was when all of the fight with Jen and Gabby broke out. So I was like, can you please come get me now? I'm scared. But I ended up hanging around and like watching the end of it because that was fascinating. That was definitely one of the most talked about moments of the weekend was that fight between Jen and Gabby. Like Jen, first of all, misgendering, doing the big boy thing, going online saying that she's a whale. I mean, I've always not liked her. I have so many Jersey friends. Like I know now, like the Jersey fandom is truly like a gang, like the blood gang where they've all taken an oath. And now I have so many friends that I made this weekend and have like really gotten close to that love Jersey. And even I'm scared to like talk bad about Jen and Teresa now. So I get it. It's like hushed. I'm hushed up. So my lips are sealed. I'm going to say that was probably like one of my least favorite parts of the weekend was seeing that go down and being a part of that. It just kind of felt dirty afterwards. I saw the Summer House panel. Again, a lot of people are talking about how that was also really, unfortunately, like boring because Carl and Lindsay seeing each other for the first time. Carl was pretty determined not to get into any drama. Lindsay can't really walk into the room the same way Ariana did because it's a totally different situation. It's really apples and oranges to me personally. I see the nuance in both situations where they're like very different to me. So it's not like she was there where everybody was like cheering for her also and like being like, oh, like Lindsay can do no wrong. So just a very weird energy. But I was definitely very happy to see Danielle and Lindsay back together and sitting next to each other at the panel and stuff like that. That was great. And then I ended Friday sneaking into the Atlanta panel for a little while, seeing those ladies. The Bravo verse live stage. One of my other favorite reactions of the weekend was standing there when Lisa Barlow and Larsa Pippen and it was when Wendy, they were all up there at the Bravoverse live stage and all the husbands were like standing kind of like in the back VIP area, like waiting for them, taking pictures and stuff. And when I saw Marcus Jordan for the first time, I was freaking out. So, I don't know, lived in Chicago for a long time. Just something about Michael Jordan's son being at BRAVOCON was a glitch in the matrix for me. I couldn't stop staring at him. I couldn't stop taking videos of him and John Barlow hanging out together. Just the whole thing was an absolute fever dream on Friday. So that was, again, one of my favorite moments was hanging out with all of them. Saturday, I kicked off the morning with the Real Houses of Miami panel. That was great because that's when Gertie announced that she was cancer free. And then if you watch the new episode from this week, that's actually when she told the girls that she had cancer. So full circle moment there and really, really good to see. I was bawling crying at the panel and I was bawling crying watching the episode on my couch last night. So I'm really, really happy to hear that she's cancer free. She rang the radiation bell and I wish her all the love, light, and healing. And after that, I headed over to the glam stage, which was a stage there's always one stage at a festival or something that's like off the beaten path, like way back in a corner, and you kind of like don't know what's going on there. So I actually never even went to this glam stage the whole day on Friday, but made the trek, walked out to this glam place, to the glam stage on Saturday morning and saw the bromance panel. So this was Preston Mitchum from Summer House Martha's Vineyard, who I actually met here in New York at one of the RHONJ parties. He's a Pooh Bear, love him. So I was so happy to go support him. If you don't follow him and know about him or watch Summer House Martha's Vineyard, then you're really missing out. There's one season out now. Second one's already been filmed. Go catch up. Alex Propson, who's on the current season of Winter House and Below Deck. Then there was Carl. There was Andrea Denver. Austin was there. Jason, who is like Giselle's Jason, Winter House Jason. And Craig was also there. And Brian Benny, who is from Family Karma. So that's who that panel was. And Michael Rappaport was the moderator. He moderated several panels of the weekend. I am a Michael Rappaport fan. I think he's an absolute nut. So I wanted to see him also moderate this panel. It was really, really fun. Austin was taking a lot of hate, especially from audience questions. Okay, so this is a really funny story. One of my favorite other like fan reaction, interaction, Bravoleb moments of the weekend was at this bromance panel. So audience questions get opened up, and this guy comes up to, I don't want to, assume his sexual identity, but this guy comes up to the mic, and he has on a white tee, and on the t-shirt is, like a self-made print that he made, that on one side is Kermit, and then the other side is Austin, and it's the Muppet Mouse. Now, I personally always thought Fozzie Bear was a little bit more representative of Austin, but even the Kermit mouth was working. The picture of him, they look the same. Now, when you are an audience question member, you walk up to the mic, but then the cameras go on you and they put you up on the big screen. So as soon as the big screen showed of him having the shirt on, the whole crowd started erupting laughing. And Austin, it took him a few seconds to see what was going on. And then once he saw the guy's shirt, he was laughing too. And it was really funny. I can't remember the exact question that he asked. I actually do think I have a video of it, but he asked something along the lines, and then what happens is the guys end up taking all their shirts off, and like Andrea ends up taking his shirt and running over to him and like giving it to him. So the whole situation, the whole moment was very chaotic and really, really funny. So if you haven't actually seen that, go to my Instagram. I think I have a video of that posted, and Andrea was really sweet. He was like reposting all of my content and stuff over the weekend too, which was really nice. So after that bromance panel, the same room was the RHONJ panel. And I'm like, okay, perfect, great. Like, I'll just grab a drink at the bar in the corner and like wait for the next panel to start. Well, I didn't know that the RHONJ panel, I was inside of this other bromance panel the entire time. Apparently it has like the biggest line of the weekend to get in, and people had been like waiting outside during this entire panel, like waiting to get in for this RHONJ panel. And also, this is not the RHONJ Legacy panel. This is the new RHONJ panel, Saturday afternoon. And so I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to wait back here at the bar so I can like stay in here. Well, no, literally we were had to squat, like me and other people from the bromance panel tried to squat like in the corner and hide from security because they actually make you clear the room out, which is so annoying because then you have to wait in the whole line again. And if you were in the last panel, there's actually no way that you can physically see the next panel. You're going to be in the longest line. So I didn't realize this until Saturday afternoon. I was already kind of screwed. And I'm not proud of myself, but I'm like, I am not missing the new RHONJ panel. It was one of the most important panels of the weekend to me. I was kicked out by security. I ran around the corner. I went up to the front of the line and pretended I like knew somebody. I cut the whole line and I ended up sneaking back in. So I apologize. That was the one like non-ethical thing I did all weekend. But I had to. I could not miss that RHONJ panel. It was so fun. And then I actually got my karma because a girl that was wasted sat behind me and was hooting and hollering. I mean, this girl was screaming to the point where Matt Rogers, who was moderating the panel, was like, who is that? Like, somebody's booing really loud. Like, so she was sitting right behind me, and people, I think, kind of, were looking at me too. Like, I was with her. So that was my karma for sneaking back in and getting a seat. But at least I really got to see the new RHONJ panel. That was really fun. And then after that, I decided to go just hang out in the Bravo Bazaar, which led to a couple really fun interactions too. That was the last panel I saw on Saturday, and then I had a little bit of time to go walk around and just see who I was going to run into. Couple of people that I saw, I didn't talk about my interaction with Lala yet, which was in the Bravo Bazaar on Friday. So on Friday, I was getting dressed. I was going for Lala vibes all weekend with my fashion looks. So I already kind of had her on my mind. When I walked in Friday, her and Sheena both, I think, are like Ninja Thirsty. There was a Ninja Thirsty booth where you can make your own drinks. And I know Sheena for sure is endorsed by them, but Lala too was doing ads for them. And so I wasn't expecting to see her at that booth when I walked up. I thought she would be at the Send It to Daryl booth. So when I walked up, I saw it was her. Now, we actually had like the same hair and makeup, and our shirts were both like, turtlenecky and kind of like golden tan with like pink in them. So when she saw me and I saw her, like she looked at me and she was totally freaked out by me. I think she thought I was like single white femaling her. So I actually had like a little like Swifty bracelet, like a little bracelet I wanted to trade and give to her. And Jess, her assistant, was standing there too. But she was so, I think, weirded out by me unintentionally. We just honestly happened. I didn't know what she looked like that day. Like I didn't like look up a picture of her before I went. We just happened to look exactly the same. So I kind of freaked out a little bit. I ended up going away. I'm like, okay, bye. Like left. And then walked around a little bit more, ran into my good friend Meredith from New York, who runs the account, The Only Thing Fake. Now, Erin won Erin Leachy from RHONJ's VIP wristband for the weekend on Instagram. She was so lucky to win that. So I met up with her at the RHONJ panel, and then we walked over to the bazaar together, and Erin was going to be at the bazaar at her booth with her mezcal. So we walked up to that afterwards, and I was so excited. So Abe the Babe and Pavit were already there hanging out at the booth waiting for Erin to get there from the RHONJ panel. Took some pictures with them, hung out with them, had a little bit of an interaction. Pavit was so sweet. I love Pavit. Everybody's like, oh, the seventh housewife. Like, whatever. Pavit's chill. He's cool in my books. He was really, really nice. And we hung out there. Erin came out. We got pictures and hung out with her for a minute. That was really fun. She was sweet. And knew, the fact that she remembered Meredith by name and was very like warm to her. She's a cool housewife. I don't care what anybody says. Also, sidebar, I just noticed that Sai definitely wants to have a second season. So I could tell that she was doing damage control this weekend and being very nice to everybody. So she will be back. Jenna was not there. She'll be out. I don't think is coming back. Okay, so then we were at the bazaar, and then after that, I'm okay, let me just go see if there's anybody else hanging out at their booths. Walk up to the Countess Luann booth, and there she is, my queen. I am a Lou stan, which I don't know if anyone else has ever used that term before. If I made that up, like I hope I did, but I'm a Lou stan. And as soon as I walked up, I didn't even have my phone in my hand. I just started singing Money Can't Buy You Class. I'm like, money can't buy you. As I walk up, start clapping. Well, the rest of the crowd and Meredith was with me, so we all were singing. She started chiming in with us. We were all singing, and just the crowd was going wild for her, getting autographs and pictures. She was loving it. She was eating up every little bit of it. She did like a little remix into Chic C'est La Vie. She was gems, jets, silhouettes. And that was one of my favorite reactions of the weekend, too. God, she's cool. I love her. She also reposted my story. She's just the best. And she also just got revealed on The Masked Singer. Lou's having a great week. She was far beloved at BravoCon. After I left on Saturday, okay, and still talking about the panels. So, you guys, I'm still just going over the panels from the weekend. That's still all my number 5 moment. This is going to be a little bit of like a bonus supersize episode. But the panels for Sunday, I didn't make too as many because I had a late night on Saturday night hanging out with a bunch of the other creators. So Saturday, I woke up, I went to another creator event, which we'll talk more about later. And then I was like, I have got to get to the convention. It's the last day. So I ended up taking a Uber over from the Cosmo from the creator event with Stars X Alyssa, Stars by Alyssa. So if you do not follow her, go now. She's the absolute sweetest. She was also on my flight from JFK, and that was so cool to see her on there. If you're listening, Alyssa, I love you. And I'm so glad we got to hang out at BRAVOCON. And so I got there Sunday, and the first panel I basically ran to was Southern Charm. So I got there. I was so excited to see Southern Charm. They're having the best season. They're really turning it up. There's real drama. There's real storyline. And that's what we need in our reality TV. So I'm very supportive of the Southern Charm cast right now. I think that they're just, them and Winter House both are carrying, and Vanderpump Rules. Well, I don't know. I'm a little skeptical of this next season, you guys. I have to be honest. I also heard a lot of people talking about how the sneak peeks and the panel and everything were like a little bit of a flop from VPR. So I don't know. I'm still being hopeful that they're just doing a really good job at like hiding a lot of stuff from us. But man, people were really worked up about Sheena this weekend. Okay, first of all, sorry, I'm not a Shishu apologist, but I think for Sheena's photo op, she had Summer Moon and Brock with her, and it was just like no one asked for that. So people were already not happy with Sheena over the weekend by having, I'm sorry, but when you come, it's like the one weekend to get a sitter would probably be BravoCon. It's like the most important. Also, your mom's there like nannying. I don't know. I'm not going to get into like parenting her, but Sheena, just come focused. Like, you have fans. People love you. They're spending $50 for your record, and you're holding your baby and, whatever. Anyways, the VPR stuff, people were also mad at her for maybe potentially hanging out with Sandoval. Lala also made a comment about how people kind of need to start cooling down and the punishment hasn't been fitting the crime. I mean, I think that we will be the ones who determine that. But somebody made a really good point about this. It was, would she be so quick to forgive if it was Randall? I mean, she wants everybody getting over it so fast. We're all ready to be friends with Sandoval again. It's like, what if they were all trying to be friends with Randall? So again, it's a little bit of that hypocrisy in our Bravolebs that we love, but drama around the VPR cast this weekend. Another part that I really liked about the Southern Charm panel was that they brought out Southern Hospitality. I love those girls. I actually was outside hanging out in the little smoking area, just hanging out outside for a little bit, and some of Madison Reese's friends were out there, DJ Maddie Reese from Southern Hospitality, and they were talking about how some other people were like, oh, what girls are you a part of the show of? And I was eavesdropping, and just those were like the funny things I overheard over the weekend, were these girls talking about being Maddie's friends and like not knowing any of the other people here this weekend, just being there to support her friend. And oh my God, you guys even know how lucky you are to be here? They probably got like the VIP, got flown out, free hotels and all this stuff, and they don't even know anybody at the convention. So those were some funny things that I overheard on Sunday. After that, I went and walked around again a little bit, just trying to soak up the rest of the convention, walking around the Bravo Bazaar. There were a lot of the photo ops, like the Sir Ali replica was there, the table flip replica that you could take a picture with. There was the Vanderpump Rules, intro credits thing. There was a bunch of activations that you could walk around and do that were great. So a lot of things like that I kind of walked around and hung out and did on the end of Sunday before I left. Went and hit up the Bravoverse live stage one last time, and it happened to be James Kennedy and Allie and Lisa, that should be their name, Louie and Teresa. That should be their Brangelina name, Lisa. No, it was Teresa and Louie there, and I was a little jarred to see them sitting out there. Louie seemed to be all smiles this weekend. He was catching a lot of heat. People were asking questions at the panels, and it's really unfortunate that anytime anybody said anything about Louie, Jen would interject herself and put herself in the line of fire and kind of make things worse, not only for Louie, but kind of for herself and for Teresa. Speaking of which, after I saw them hanging out at the Bravoverse live stage, it was time for the infamous Real Housewives of New Jersey panel part 2 at the end of Sunday. I did not make it to part 1. I actually didn't even see the Gorgas this weekend, which I would have loved to see. Melissa, again, not a big team person, but I would have liked to meet Melissa. She's not that much older. I don't know. She just weirdly seems like she would actually be nice and cool. I don't know if anybody met her and had a different experience. I would be interested to know. I also think maybe she was laying low this weekend. Everything that happened with Joe's comedy fraud fest that was going on out in Vegas over the weekend. Maybe they were just chilling. I didn't see them like out and about as much. But that was when the big uproar happened with the fan questions. And that's really how the panels went for the weekend for me. If I had to pick a favorite, I really enjoyed that bromance panel. That was super fun with all the guys from the shows, and they were just really interactive with the fans and answered all the questions. And Michael Rappaport, he was also moderating that last New Jersey panel, and a lot of people had issues with him that he is a tree hugger. So it's like, we got to, I don't know how Bravo can better handle the panels in the future where they're not giving too much away about the upcoming seasons. They're also not in a weird place where they don't have anything going on because they're not filming. The panels need a little bit of work for me, and there weren't a ton of takeaways from them this weekend. But I just wanted to give you guys a full rundown of everybody I saw, everything I listened to, and the things that I experienced at the panels. So that was the number 5 best part of BravoCon for me this weekend. The number 4 best part was probably just the gossip. Like I said, overhearing things going on there. Everything from the dating rumors about, now I have to just shut it down. Like, I don't think anything happened between Lala and Captain Jason. From all the gossip that I heard, he actually was hooking up with Ashley Darby on Friday night. It wasn't revealed until Saturday that he had already been dating casually and making out with Adriana Demora from Real Houses of Miami. So that was going on. The other thing that got revealed over the weekend too at Watch What Happens Live was when Sonia was talking about Owen Wilson and Ashley Darby was talking about flirting with him. Like, there's a lot of crossover in this Bravo universe with people outside of it also. So that was kind of fun to me, seeing that drama over the weekend. A lot of talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I did not get to see that panel. Oh, wait, no, they didn't have one. That's why. They did not have a Salt Lake City panel this year because it's airing right now. From what I really understand, everything I've heard offline is that everybody's on the outs with Monica because of the stuff that's still yet to be revealed this season. If you watched last night's episode or Tuesday night's episode, seemed like her and Angie had kind of made up a little bit in the sense that they were going to try to at least, she had at least somebody on the cast that somewhat liked her. But it all goes down in, I think, wherever they are, the Bahamas, Bermuda, wherever they go on that cast trip, that reveals so apparently the full story is that Monica, first of all, her name on Instagram is Monica Nikki Garcia. So we already know that Garcia is not her last name. I think that was, her husband, ex-husband. I'm not sure whose name is Garcia. It's not her mother's last name. It's not her born last name. And it's also, I think, Nikki. I think that she used to go by Nikki. So Monica, like Nikki is short for Monica. And that also used to be a nickname alias. Anyways, apparently she has now been exposed for having several different aliases and fake names and multiple personalities. And she used to go into Beauty Lab and Laser, which is Heather Gay's Botox joint, and under different names, start bills, different IDs, I guess. And she got exposed for that when they were on the cast trip. And that's that phone call that Heather gets in the trailer, finding out that it was Monica the whole time. That was going in. Now, they're in a major lawsuit together. Monica's trying to say she didn't pay because it was botched fillers. I mean, I think Monica looks beautiful. I don't really see anything botched there. So I think that she's going to have a hard time on that lawsuit. But yeah, that was kind of just like some of the overheard gossip over the weekend. Honestly, there wasn't a lot. Like I said, the panels didn't reveal too much drama. Kyle dropped something about the divorce. I mean, I'm so sick of talking about Kyle and really nobody cares anymore. So besides that, there really wasn't a lot of other stuff going on. There's not a ton of hookups, not a ton of fights, and not a ton of off-screen drama that we've seen yet. Now, we definitely know that with Bravo breaking the fourth wall more and them revealing more of these things in the episodes now, like when they say, oh, when we were in New York, and they're referring to being at the reunion or being at BravoCon the previous years. And these things happen, like Heather Dubrow calling everybody losers, or Jen Aydin and Gorga throwing the glass in the lobby last year. Like there were things that happened at BravoCon that weren't on screen or at the panels at the convention that we found out about. So I imagine drama did happen this weekend and we just haven't heard about it yet. So stay tuned for the more gossip and drama to come. So again, number 4 best thing about BravoCon was the gossip and the things that are going to be shown later. Number 3 favorite thing about BravoCon this year was that it was in Vegas. So Vegas in general, I love. Some of the things that I did non-BravoCon related while I was in Vegas. Friday night, I went to Tao. So I was staying at the Venetian, Tao Restaurant and Club. I frequent in New York, Chicago, the other locations, and I was really excited to go out to Tao, especially to the Venetian and stay at the Venetian, because I had heard from Jax Taylor on Juicy Scoop on Heather McDonald's podcast that he was going to be at the Venetian all weekend. And I thought for sure I was going to see him, Dodie, Brittany, a bunch of people at Tao. I had ran into Ryan Bailey. I had went to his Patreon meetup at Caesars like right before I went to dinner on Friday night, and was telling him like, hey, I'm leaving this meetup to go to the Venetian and go to Tao because I really want to see Jackson, Brittany and stuff tonight. I didn't end up seeing them, which was so sad. I never ended up seeing them the entire weekend, and they were even ended up being at the convention to surprise everybody on Sunday, and I still didn't see them. So I don't know why I care so much about seeing them. Jax, I think it's because he's just a legend. And I don't know, meeting Dodie, they're like, that would, I don't know why. I just love them. I guess Vanderpump Rules, my fiance was asking me too this weekend, like, what really is your favorite show? Even though I'm an OG Housewives, I've been watching every single Housewives real time, every city. I've watched every single one as it was airing since OC. I've been a day one watcher. I haven't been somebody who like didn't see something and went back and watched it. I've been watching everything live for the last decade of my life and plus. So I think that's why I was really excited to see Jackson Why VPR is one of my favorite shows, because I'm just really invested for a long time. Never got to see them. Very sad. Tao was delicious though. We had a great time there. We went out to some clubs on Friday and Saturday night. I just love to go out and just have like the energy of the city. I also love like a late night club sitch. I love electronic music. I just am somebody who loves Vegas. So between the food, the clubs, the restaurants, the casinos. Oh, we also played a lot of poker. My fiance plays a lot of different, games, table games, and he knows he can walk up to any table and play anything. So we play a couple different games together. We sit and drink, and it was so fun. So I was really happy that it was in Vegas. But unfortunately, one thing that was seriously lacking from this BravoCon, and I would say probably my biggest complaint, is I just envisioned like everybody, all the Bravolebs staying in Caesars, being able to go down to a bar, a restaurant, a table, a blackjack table, see a Bravoleb. There was none of that. They were all kind of like exiled at the Four Seasons. All the housewives were at the Four Seasons. And then all of the other talent were at the Delano, which is literally so far. And I know that they were happy. Like the Bravolebs were happy actually to be staying there because it was kind of like their own island, and they didn't have to like interact with the plebs anymore. But I was pissed. I didn't get to play one card game, have one alcoholic beverage with a Bravoleb. Like that was very disappointing to me. So that's probably the one letdown about it being in Vegas, that I just had this vision that we were all going to be like partying and gambling together. And if you weren't at the convention and in the VIP, then you were not going to see Bravolebs. So very disappointing to me. But that kind of was my number 3 favorite part, was that it was in Vegas. Now, again, I live in New York, and you would think that I would really want to be hanging out doing the New York BravoCon, but I love Vegas, and I hope that they have it there again next year. My number 2 favorite thing that I actually already kind of touched on throughout, I knew that that's how this episode was going to go, kind of just naturally by talking about the things that I did and saw, that I would hit my countdown. But the number 2 favorite thing was that plane ride that I had in being on there with people working from NBC, having the combination of looking through the talent lookbook and like getting hyped up over all the housewives, knowing that Dorinda and Jen Fessler and Carl were all breathing the same air as me and getting so excited to be going to the exact same place as me at the same time was just a magical experience. All of the Bravolebrities interactions I had, especially Countess Luann, was my absolute favorite. So fun. Just the whole weekend, again, that was my favorite part, was just, even though I didn't get to take a lot of pictures, drink a lot of bevs, gamble with Bravolebs, the few interactions that I did have were so great and everybody was so nice that it really made, for me, a really special experience. I feel like I did get a little bit of that touch of like flying too close to the sun, which you kind of want to feel that like when you go to these conventions. You want to be able to go back to your normal life and be like, whoo, okay, whoa, that was crazy. Because if you had that all the time and you were just constantly around these people, it would not be as special. So it's kind of like if you go to Disney World too much, you're not going to get as excited when you see Mickey Mouse walking around. So a lot of these things, are things that I complain about, but really were special parts of the convention for me and made it all a really good experience. And we've made it now to the number one favorite part of BravoCon for me. This was an easy one. My heart is so full. I feel like I walked away a changed person, an evolved person, more confident, more creative, more loving and empathetic towards other people that, when you just know people from online and you have an idea, you feel like you're best friends with them, but then, just like with a Bravoleb, you might meet them and then you have a bad interaction and you're like, shit, now I don't like that person. Well, the number one best part of BravoCon for me was meeting other creators from online, pages that I follow, podcasters that I've been listening to for years in the flesh. It was the absolute best part. Everybody exceeded my expectations. I'm going to go through a list of people that I met that I hope that if somehow you're following me and you've found me and you do not know these people, you need to immediately go discover them. Because everybody was so incredibly nice to me. I felt so included. I felt so much like a rock star. Like I'm not Delulu, you guys. Like I have a very small page. I only have 300 followers. So for me to sit here and pretend like I've like built some kind of army behind me would just be crazy. Like this is my medium. I like to podcast. I like to do this. I like to post stories on my Instagram. I like to make memes, here and there. But I'm not out there changing the world with my thoughts and opinions about Bravo and these other things. So not yet anyway. I'm definitely really small right now. Every listen, every like, everything means so much to me still and I hope that never goes away. But these people made me feel like I was Paris Hilton. I mean, I walk into some of these creator events and I felt like the red carpet was really rolled out for me and I could cry just thinking about it. It was the most amazing experience that I've had to date as far as a creative endeavor that I've started on my own that I'm getting validation for. It started with me getting to the airport. I'm waiting for my bag. So at this time now, Carl, Dorinda, and Jen Fessler have all been scurried off. I'm getting my bag. I'm waiting to get picked up. And I saw Best of Bravo, Maggie, Kelly. She was so sweet. So I actually walked by her once and I was like, no, we just got here. Like, don't be so thirsty. You don't need to go up to her like at the airport. But then I walked by her again and I'm like, girl, you literally like respond to all of her stuff. You've followed her for years. You buy things that she puts in her Amazon. Like she's influenced you. Like go up to her, tell her to have fun at BravoCon. So I did. I started with Carl having that confidence of like saying something to him. I tried all weekend to carry that energy with me to just like walk up to them, tell them who you are, tell them you have nothing but positive things to say. Like walk up there with your head held high. Take the advice that you gave Carl. Like, don't be afraid to just be your authentic self, and the right people are going to embrace you. So I actually really felt like I did do really good with that. Starting with Maggie, she was so sweet. Best of Bravo, again, go follow her. She was already talking about how she had seen Carl, and we were getting really pumped up for the weekend. Then I went to the, Venetian, and I had checked in at the room and then went to the convention. And then the second person that I saw, I walked in and the very first thing I did was just go through the Bravo Bazaar when I had got there. and I see Ryan Bailey. So bad it's good with Ryan Bailey. I walked right up to him like a freak. Okay, this is where I took it like a little bit too far, I think, because I was, like I said, trying to have that confidence just to say hi to anybody that I really felt inspired to. And I walked up to him and was like, oh my God, Ryan Bailey, like, blah, blah, blah. And like, he knows me too from online. Like, we have chatted and stuff. But I was like, can I buy your lunch? Which was so, probably a step too far. He was hanging out with Pink Shade. I'm like, can I buy your lunch too? Like, just trying to be nice because I really wanted everybody to know that I am somebody who I think, too, people can judge a book by its cover or like think this person might be different than they are. Like, I don't want to toot my own horn. I feel like I'm so nice. I want to hang out with everybody. So I wanted them to know too, like, if you see me throughout the weekend, you can also say hi to me. Like, it's mutual. So I said hi to him. I bought him lunch. And then I also went to his Patreon meetup at Caesar's Palace. I think I talked about that, where I met a bunch of other awesome, amazing creators. And Maritza, who, helps him run his page and his whole thing. So they were great. Also ended up seeing him Saturday night. It was the Real Housewives of Politics. So RHOPOL on Instagram. Go follow now. The most sweet, amazing girls from Pennsylvania that come to the city, do events, always invite me and make me feel really like a great addition to their group. So please go follow them. Also, Bravo Stone Manor. These are all the accounts. Again, like Ryan Bailey was talking about this too. Like, it's really about the account name. Like, sure, names matter, but I want you to follow these people and get to know them and get to know their content and their art. So saw Ryan Bailey too at that event Saturday night. That was so great. And he's so sweet and supportive, sending you love. Then also Bravo by Brett. I was dying to meet him. I actually haven't known him online for that long, but he's got such a great online presence. And I know he lives in Chicago, where I now just moved from New York from. So Bravo by Brett was so sweet. And then I got invited hanging out at this party that was like an after party on Saturday night. And Christian Grey Snow came, and I couldn't believe I was meeting him. I was actually so scared to meet him. Something about a Teresa fan, like, always gets me so, nervous to meet them. So the fact that he's like Teresa stan, Vicky stan, he fights the hard fights out there. I was a little bit nervous to meet him. What a freaking Pooh Bear. So sweet. And also has like the cutest Southern accent. All of his friends were so sweet and nice. And it was really, really a pleasure to meet you, Christian. Nalini Stamp, a lot of people know her too. She was so lucky enough to be a Watch What Happens Live bartender. She was really, really awesome. Nell Stamp, loved meeting you, Nell. I got to meet Kiki Monique, Talk of Shame, also at the same event that they threw. What the hell? That was crazy. We were all like eating brunch, having breakfast sandwiches together. I'm just like hanging out with Kiki Monique. Stop. No, that was amazing. Hi, Kiki. And Eddie from Martinis with Eddie. I didn't get to talk to him very much because by Saturday night, the poor guy had no voice. Like, that was like me when I had my bachelorette party and I couldn't talk or record for a week. Like, he was so sweet too. And I know, like, online, he's been nothing but supportive and a gem to talk to. So Martinis with Eddie. Another one of my favorite people that I got to meet this weekend was No Filter with Zach. So we actually left an event together and like walked to an after party. And at one point, I think it was definitely midnight, if not, I don't know, maybe it was like midnight. I like leaned over to him and was just like, I did not have hanging out at an after party with you on my bingo card this year. And I think that he just appreciated that I was like fangirling, hanging out with him, and super, super sweet. Loved him. No Filter with Zach. Go follow him. I need to get some of his Housewives wine also. I've been wanting to try that for forever. My so-called Bravo Life too. She was at the event. I didn't get to talk to her much either, but I know she's so sweet and everybody loves her. Bravo Enthusiast. I loved meeting her. Catherine. Oh my gosh. You were also one of my favorite people to talk to with Brett on Saturday. I love a Chicago girly, and I hope that you're listening and supporting. Pink Shade I already shouted out, but so nice to meet you too. I don't even know if she'll remember. Oh, also, so Bravo with me, and Bravo made me do it. Anna and Sarah, they were also nice enough to invite me to events. Thursday, I got invited by Sarah to do a Vanderpump Gardens kickoff at Caesars for the events. And I was so sick on Thursday when I had first arrived on the flight. I actually got really bad vertigo, and I could not even leave my bed Thursday when I first got there. So unfortunately, I missed that kickoff event and saved all my energy for the convention on Friday. So I'm so sad I didn't get to go there and meet a bunch of the other creators that were at that event. But thank you for inviting me. And also, Anna Bravo made me do it. She had offered a slot to come and do her photo op to meet Amrit from Family Karma. Again, another Chicagoan. So I really wanted to go and hang out with him on Sunday. But again, I didn't make it to the convention till later on Sunday and was kind of a mess. So Anna, thank you for inviting me, and I appreciated all of the love and support. Saving the best for last, I really have to shout out again, The Only Thing Fake, my girl Meredith. You really were such a sweetheart this weekend by, meeting up with me, taking me around the bazaar, taking me to some of the photo ops and making sure that I was able to do them. I really love you, girl, and thank you for not just you, but everybody that I just mentioned. If I missed you, I feel so bad. I had one of the most amazing experiences, really just hanging out with all the creators this weekend. And now I can really hold my head high and proud and confident and be like, I'm out here. I'm making content. Sure, it might not be as consistent as others. It might not have as many eyes on it. It might not have the same, insights and logistical numbers that are as up to everyone else's, but I'm passionate and I am creative and I do have my own point of view and perspective, and that's stronger in me than ever. And that's why conventions happen. That's why work trips and these things go on, and team building. That's why people from Chase or whatever CEO 500 Fortune companies send all of their employees to Vegas. They're go hang out with your coworkers, bond, drink, have fun. Let's take care of you. And then in that culture, you love your job more and you get more motivated and inspired to do it every day. So if anything, I walked away from this experience feeling more entwined in the culture than ever, more just really excited to be a part of it and feeling like I really belong here. So thank you again for everybody that is taking a chance here to listen to me. If you don't follow me, please, again, right now, pull out your phone and go follow me on Instagram at Bella Talks TV. I know I've been getting a lot of new followers on Threads. I'm going to try to get on there more and start using that. I think that that's a totally unutilized platform where we have a chance to really wade through the negativity of X and meet in a more positive space. And so come join me on Threads also. And please, right now too, if you haven't yet, take out your phone and follow the podcast by hitting that little plus button up in the corner. What that does, it automatically downloads all of the episodes so that they show up in your feed. Also makes them available offline and all kinds of other great things. Really helps my numbers. Really, really helps me get seen more and played more so that I can spread my opinion with everybody else. So thank you for being here again and for all the support. I love you all. See you next week. Ciao, Bellas.